Hey, today we're bringing on the former University of Arizona quarterback. He's also a national champion from their basketball team back in the 90s. And he's now the owner and founder of One Body Strength and Conditioning. And he's got a foundation that you're going to want to hear about as well. He's training athletes at a high level out of the state of California. He's also training one of the top high school quarterbacks in the class of 2026. Today, we're going to get to know his story, get to learn a little bit more about what his insights are as a trainer. We'll talk about the difference between elite and great athletes, the ones that he's training, what they have that the great athletes need to get to that next step of being elite. I want to remind everybody that this episode is being brought to you by Nation's Best Football. Make sure to give them a follow. I'll put the link here in the description. Shout out to Nation's Best Football. They are highlighting football players from the youth, high school, collegiate, and professional level, and they do a great job there. I've had a business partnership with them for almost 6 years now, so I want to shout out Nation's Best Football, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. Get the notepads out. If you're an athlete, you're going to definitely want to check this one out, especially if you're a football player, because this is the Gametime Guru. So,
what time is it? Game time!
This is the Gametime Guru podcast, where I interview sports figures from all over the world to help deliver a panoramic view on sports. So whether you're a former athlete, one of the crazies, or simply a casual sports fan, this is the perfect show for you as we peel back the curtains and learn from our guests every single week. I'm your host, Shane Larson, and I'm helping you see sports through a different lens. What's going on, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Gametime Guru podcast. My name is Shane Larson, host of the show. Just a reminder that this episode is being presented by Nation's Best Football. I'll give a shout out to them for the support. We've had a partnership over the last, 5, almost 6 years now with Nation's Best Football, and I just want to give a shout out to them. Make sure to follow them on Instagram. Check out the good content that they provide as they're highlighting athletes, youth, high school, professional, collegiate, all levels of athletics, especially in the football world. So it was through Nation's Best Football and Bob Smith that I was able to connect with our guest today, which, as you guys heard in the introduction, it's former U of A quarterback. His name is Ortege Jenkins. We're going to get into all of it. He's a trainer. He's got the whole nine, and we'll get into all of the stuff that he's doing. But Ortege, thanks for joining the show, man.
Oh, man, no problem, man. Thank you for having me. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Ortege, tell the audience where you reside right now, where you're coaching at, and where most of your work is being done.
Yeah, so we're in Long Beach, California. I'm born and raised out of Long Beach. I have a home in Long Beach. I also have a home in Arizona in the Chandler, Phoenix area. But we reside, my studio and my gym is in Long Beach, 2533 North Lakewood Boulevard in the city of Long Beach. We're training, general pop, but we also, of course, work with a lot of different athletes across the board in all phases with our foundation, which is called One Body Youth Foundation. So, but we're based out of Long Beach.
Based out of Long Beach. Okay. So with One Body, so let's talk about that for a second. You got the One Body Youth Foundation. You got One Body Strength and Conditioning. You are the founder of this. Talk to me a little bit about it, how you got it started and why you got it started in the first time. I mean, most people probably just assume because you were a former player, you wanted to start training, but does it go a little bit deeper than that? And what is it? Who are the athletes you're trying to reach?
Yeah, well, the One Body Strength and Conditioning started, in 2014. One of my college alumni brothers, a guy named Jason Terry, who played 19 years in the league, had hired me to be his full-time strength and conditioning coach. And at that time, he was like, hey, man, I'll help you get your business started if you want to do it. So towards the end of his career, I started with him in around 2011, 2012, right before when they beat LeBron and the Heat in the championship. And then I ran all the way through to end his career where he ended it up in Milwaukee. So that's how it all got started with the strength and conditioning program, the strength and conditioning company. I'd always been in health and fitness. I was a regional director with LA Fitness, Valley Total Fitness, 24-hour fitness. So I'd always had that background in the fitness industry, but I wanted to kind of do my own thing. And then I opened up a gym. And then once I opened up the gym, it's kind of we've been rolling ever since then. And that's just, again, with General Pop training, every men, women, children, kids, older adults, everybody from top to bottom. And then we transitioned into working with athletes, quarterbacks, and just all kinds of athletes. I mean, I've had volleyball players, softball players, basketball, football, pretty much everything, soccer players. And that's how the One Body Strength and Conditioning became what it is. And then we piggybacked on the One Body You Foundation because I was at a game watching Modern Day play against Los Al a few years back, and I just felt like it was such a difference in the size, the strength of the players, and they're on the same playing field, even though it's not really a fair playing field in my mind. So I wanted to be able to have a program that could give back to the community of some of the underprivileged communities to where they could get strength and conditioning programs for free. But really good strength and conditioning programs by certified trainers and strength coaches. And that's what we do every year. We started it this year. We had 2 months, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We had free strength and conditioning. And then on Tuesdays, we had yoga. So we wanted to provide a service that could give athletes across the board, not just football, an opportunity to have a summer program where they could go, get really good strength and conditioning programs, and it wouldn't cost the parents or anybody any cost, just us giving back to the community.
Wow. A couple things to unbox there, man. That's actually really cool. Jason Terry, I hope all these like casual sports fans just take a second to listen to this. It's funny you even mentioned his run. So when they beat the Heat, and people don't really pay attention to this, they always look at Dirk Nowitzki, they look at some of the superstars. If people remember that series, Jason Terry was a secret weapon, dude. He was running everywhere. I mean, LeBron was trying to guard him. He was running off screens. He was keeping LeBron moving, and that was what was kind of a neutralizer for them while they had the rest of the guys go off. Now, obviously, he hit his shots when he needed to, but I always remember Ortege that he was like the secret weapon that not many people talked about during that series, that he was just kept going. So the fact that you had an impact to some degree on that is unbelievable, because I have brought that up multiple times and I had no idea that there was a connection there. So that is super cool.
Me and Jason, I've known Jason since I was in the 8th grade. We both went to a camp called Superstar Basketball Camp. Used to be held at UC Santa Barbara way back in the day. Met him there, and then from there, when I signed with Arizona, he was already on the basketball team there. And then I played my first 2 years. People don't know I played 2 years at Arizona. So that's where me and Jason met. And when I said alumni brothers, we won a national championship together, and I played 2 years of basketball with him. And then we remained friends up until even to this day. I just talked to him last week. So we've always been tight and close. And he was one of the reasons why I kind of got started with opening up my own business and going into the whole ideal of doing the entrepreneurship deal.
Oh, that's so cool, man. What a cool relationship you have there. And it's cool that you have an impact on him just like he has an impact on you. I think it's so awesome. Now, and the other thing I wanted to unbox on that too that you were talking about is just the fact that you made it affordable. See, when I talk to strength and conditioning coaches around the country, it's like, you know, some of them try to make it affordable, but the reality is, even when I was in high school or teach back in the early 2000s, the only ones who could get like true good strength and conditioning, either one, your school had to have the funding, or two, you had to have the funding. It was expensive. And so you would see a difference with the teams and the athletes that did get professional level help and the ones who didn't. And so the fact that you're making it accessible to others who might be considered underprivileged, I should say, is a really big thing. I don't think people realize how much of an importance that is, because you brought up something. There are so many times where you'll see like athletes are playing on the same court, the same field, whatever it may be, and they just look like they're in a different league. And that's just the reality. That's the benefit of strength and conditioning, which I wanted to ask you a little bit because of you being a former collegiate athlete. I mean, U of A quarterback, and you have some crazy highlights that I would love to like talk a little bit about your career. And then obviously basketball, you're an athlete. Talk to us about your experience, not only as a trainer, but specifically as an athlete. What do you feel is the most, like, what do you feel, I guess, is the biggest impact for a collegiate athlete? What's something they need to be working on to be able to last on the field, keep their body right, and be able to compete at such a high level?
Well, I have a thing, and any of the kids that are in my foundation or that have been involved with me, I have a thing called process and reward. Okay, if you put process on the board and write it down, and then reward on the board, and you put them next to each other, you want to be able to put a lot of things that come with the process. The process is going to be film study, strength and conditioning, sleep, rest and recovery, working on your craft. Those are the processes, and you have to fall in love with the process, and then the rewards will come. An opportunity to continue your education at a 4-year university, opportunities for NIL opportunities, opportunities to be able to make money when you go to college. All of the rewards that all of the kids love to cherish, you have to fall in love with the process, and all of that stuff will come. So my biggest thing is love the process of being great, and if you get a chance to be great, you will get rewarded. And that's just kind of like what my main focus is, and as being an athlete, because when I played, I didn't do all of those things. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, I was a perfect kid, and I did this, I did everything right. But now being able to give back, I can kind of give them the blueprint on this is what you got to do. You know what I mean? And this is what you need to focus on. And today's kids, you got to be a little bit relevant. So I was blessed to be put in the Ring of Honor at Arizona. So my name's in the stadium, so I can tell people, hey, listen, if you ever go to Arizona and watch a game, you can look up there. My name's in the stadium, and it'll be there forever. And when you can tell kids that, it gives them a little bit of, okay, there's some relevancy behind this guy has been there. He's done it. I played both sports in college. I won a national championship. I've been Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. I've done I've done a lot of things, and I also got cut on national TV because I couldn't perform for the Baltimore Ravens on Hard Knocks. So I've been around this thing of sports and just can really give a lot of knowledge to the kids on what are the next steps to being great, and then what it takes to be an elite athlete, student athlete first. So,
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I mean, you definitely are one of the unique and rare athletes that was able to compete at such a high level for both sports, basketball and football, winning a national championship at U of A. Can you talk to us about that experience and maybe what you took from the basketball side of things over to the football field as well? How did being a dual sport athlete help you out?
Well, the biggest thing was just, to be honest with you, was just being able to learn my body, how to be able to be in the right, to condition myself from football to basketball, because you start off in football first and you transition over to basketball. So usually when you get to basketball, you're a little bit out of shape. And then, so being able to be in the right state of mind and the conditioning aspect, winning a national championship is one of the greatest experience I was able to experience in college. I blew my knee out, so I didn't get the full experience because I tore my ACL playing basketball. But being able to come back and win with those guys, I came back the next year with the same exact team. We had guys like Mike Bibby, a guy named Michael Dickerson, Miles Simons, Jason Terry. Being able to be with those group of guys, Bennett Davis and Eugene Edges. I know all the guys, A.J. Bramlett, Darnell Harris. It's funny how you never forget those guys. Justin Wessel, my boy Josh Pastner, who was a head coach at Georgia Tech just recently. So you remember all of these guys, man. You never forget the names and experiences, and it just was a great experience. And then to be able to go on the football field, and as a sophomore, we won 12 games. We were 12-1, ranked number 4 in the country. Only lost one game all year long at UCLA. So I had a good chance to get the best of both worlds, to really see it. The city of Tucson embraced me when I was there. The great fan base on the basketball and the football side. So it was just a really great experience all the way across the board. And I try to share it as much as possible without, trying to toot my horn or anything, but just to kind of give people an idea of some of the things that happened when I was there.
Oh, for sure. Hey, on the football field, one of the most notable, there's a whole thing. There's a reason you're inducted to that Ring of Honor, but there was the Leap by the Lake. Can you walk us through the Leap by the Lake? That's been the highlight reel. If they Google your name, they're going to see it, right? Like, even if kids weren't even around at that time, all they got to do is Google Ortege Jenkins, U of A quarterback, and that'll pop up. So talk to us about that play and what that meant in your career.
I tell people this all the time. The biggest takeaway from that whole play was the fact that we started on our own 3-yard line, and we had to drive 97 yards. See, when people pop the highlight on, you only get the last bit of the play. Well, we had 4 third down conversions on that particular drive to get us where we got all the way down to being able to put ourselves in position. Those linemen, they blocked their tails off. It was a really, really a big-time group victory. I just happened to be at the tail end of a lucky play to where I dropped back, I looked left, I looked right, it parted, it's like the Red Sea opened up. There was nobody within 5 or 7 yards of me when I first started. Of course, that thing collapsed in, and I'll never forget Lester Towns, the linebacker, came in, and the only thing I had an option to do was jump. And when I jumped, he catapulted and hit me kind of low, and it kind of catapulted me into a somersault. And then I landed on my feet. When I came about, I was in the end zone, and it was 3 seconds left, and it was game. And that's the first time we had beat Washington in Washington at night in probably 15, 20 years or something crazy. It was the best experience ever. It was a great team win. It was, like I said, there were so many people and so many players and so many of my alumni brothers that were involved in making that a great game and a great drive. I just happened to be the one at the end to be able to jump and get in the end zone and get to celebrate that with my teammates.
So cool, dude. Yeah, that's so awesome. I'm glad you get to, remember that and reminisce about the whole thing. And I would encourage anybody who wants to go watch that one, just Google it. You'll see the final one, a full-on flip. I mean, you did a full – I mean, you went all the way around. So pretty sweet. Question for you. I mean, you're a trainer of some pretty high-caliber high school athletes as well right now.
Yeah.
And you being a former collegiate quarterback who had – a taste of the professional level at some degree, right? Which most people can't even say at all ever. So know what it's like to, you know what it takes to be at that level. What is something that you notice about the high caliber, high quality quarterbacks or athletes that you're training right now compared to those that want to be? You know what I mean? Or teach. Sometimes I always tell people there's good, there's great, and there's elite. And usually there is a separation between elite and great that separates. There's something that they have that the others don't. And I want to know if you see the same thing with some of those high caliber, high school athletes that you're training right now.
Without question. I mean, the kids that we work with are the number one quarterback in the country in the 2026 class, according to ESPN 300 out of California, is a kid named Jaden O'Neal, who's out of Narbonne High School. And he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, regardless of class, but ESPN ranked him number 1 in California a few months back in their top 300, number 3 overall in the country. He is an elite player. And there are guys that are good players, and there's guys that are going to be coming up the rankings that we train and we work with. There is a difference, though, and you can tell the difference. We've been all across the country. Our foundation was able to take kids on college tours all summer in June. We visited the University of Texas, Colorado, Oklahoma, University of Miami, Florida State, Ohio State, went to SMU, we went to TCU, UCLA, SC, San Diego State. So we went all over the country. And you could probably place Jaden in any of those particular schools, and he could probably compete right now. As a junior now, he's a junior now in high school, but that's elite. And then you have some of our younger guys that we work with. A couple of guys that I have still is a guy named DJ Mitchell, a guy named Chance Thomas. Those are guys that are 1 year under Jaden who are on the map, but this is going to be their year to really elevate themselves if they continue to trend up. And those guys are good quarterbacks working to be elite. Jaden would be considered elite based upon his number of offers that he had. He had over 30 offers. And these are 30 real logistic offers, and could have went to any school he wanted to in the country and chose to commit to Oklahoma. And anytime you can commit to a college as a sophomore in high school, it's pretty it's got to be pretty special for the school to take that commitment that early. So special kid.
So tell me that, first off, shout out to DJ Mitchell. I actually had him on the podcast last year. So DJ's a stud, great kid, young cat that's going to be definitely climbing the ranks there if he continues to put in the work. I've been following his journey. But with Jaden, when you say that he's elite, what's something that he does or teach that you would like to see those like DJ and the others get to at his age? Like, what is something that he's doing consistently that maybe other athletes that are listening right now, whether they know the football scene or if they're not even in California, maybe they're just listening to this podcast, or the parents are, that they could take note of somebody who's at that level? What are they doing that's like standing out to you? What's one of the traits that they have?
Well, number one, you got to be an accurate passer. Okay, the ball's got to jump off your hand. The coaches want to see it. I talked to Coach Stein, really good coach, offensive coordinator at University of Oregon. I was there a few weeks back for their Saturday Night Lights live camp that they had. Being an accurate passer, loving the game, preparation, toughness, being mobile. These are some of the things. You got a list of 10 things that you had to be able to be a great elite quarterback. And Oregon produces great elite quarterbacks. Being creative, having good mobility, selflessness. These are the things that you have to be an elite guy. Jaden is elite because he checks all the boxes. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He's super accurate with the football. And another thing that makes him elite, and the other guys got it too, is that he can go to camps anywhere across the country at any time and hit a switch, and he can turn it on. And he's able to perform at a high level no matter where he is across the country. And it's all documented. Elite 11, Under Armour camp, Rivals, Future 50. We've been to them all. And all of those elite camps at the actual colleges too. So when you can go and you can perform at a high level no matter what the stage is set, that's what makes you elite and that's what makes you special. And he can do that no matter where it is. But he's an accurate passer. He's very mechanically sound. He can work from under the center, shotgun. It don't matter, and that's big important too to have really good base and foundation. And that's what makes him just a tad bit above some of the other guys. Now my young pups are coming though. You know, DJ, Chance Thomas. I got another kid. I got a kid named Elijah McDaniel that's coming. A kid named Kingston Stokely. We got guys. And then we also got a couple other 26ers, a kid named Alex Medine that's at Chino Hills. And he's going to be good. Ashton Purnell's at Loyola. I got guys in the stable that we're really, really working. If people look at our Instagram, you'll see some of the work that we've done and see some of these guys coming up. But that elite next level step, Jaden didn't get those rankings and all that for nothing. There's a reason why he's at the top of the food chain as of now.
I love that, though, and I hope people take note of that. I mean, that's just the reality of it, and that's kind of what you got to do, but you put the work in. You get the right types of trainers, such as Ortege Jenkins, and you can, get yourself to that level if you put the work in consistently. Now, one question I wanted to run by you based on what you were just saying, there's a lot of athletes that I'm around in the high school scene, at least, that don't know how to be seen. Like in basketball, you got to play club basketball. I mean, that's just the reality of it, and you got to go to camps. Football, what would you say? I mean, you talked about the camps that Jaden went to. What's a good way, like, for athletes to get seen and potentially get in front of college coaches? Is it camps? Is it going to the right camps? Is it what is it for their recruiting process that you've seen or teach that works best for them in the football scene?
So number one is I tell this to parents and I tell it to the players. You have to put the work on tape. If your tape don't match all of your 7-on-7 and your shorts and T-shirts, if it doesn't match, it doesn't matter. Football is played in pads. Football is a game of being able to retain information. Football is a game of being able to make plays in clutch situations with a lot of pressure. So, number one, you got to have the tape. That means your year plan. Then number two, after the season's over, that's when the recruiters start to come out to your schools. You want to have individual workouts at the schools. And then after that, becomes the camp season, whether or not they have a preps camp. They have them all over. Elite 11, they have Rivals, they have Under Armour. Some of them are invites. There's a lot that aren't invites. And then you want to be able to go to college camps. They have mega camps. The city of Redlands hosts one every year where they get 15 or 16 different schools to come to a camp throughout the week. And then you get in front of coaches, and those coaches actually work in the camps. So that those mega camps are huge to get in front of colleges. And then you got to have somebody that really is connected with the coaches. And at the end of the day, Shane, the biggest thing I tell all the parents is you got to recognize what kind of athletes you have. Everybody's not a D1 guy, and it's okay. You don't have to be a D1 guy. Everybody's not a Power 4 guy. Everybody's not a Group 5 guy. You might be a D3, D2, JC. You might be a JC guy that works your way up to being a Power 4. But you have to be in reality of who you are and what kind of athlete you have. And then once you can realize what that is, then you can work from there. And that's what I evaluate a lot of times when I have the parents with. And I tell them, I can't do anything for your son or daughter. When they put that stuff on tape, that's what's going to help me give the horsepower to be able to get them extra looks, but it has to be on the tape.
Ooh, that's so insightful, and I'm glad you actually said that about just being realistic, and that's okay. I love that you even, you reassured them. If they're not a D1 player, that's okay. Just be realistic with it, and then you can start, you set your sights on the goal, and you go. I think that's awesome. If you could just look back so far in your life, Ortege, and just see like one thing that football has taught you, or I should say both, I mean, just athletics in general, what's one life lesson that sports have taught you so far?
What for me is that what I learned is that just sports in general is just how much it helps you transition over into real life. Being able to be a team player, and what I mean by that, being able to go into the corporate world and deal with people from different backgrounds, different races, different religions, and be able to have one common goal. I think football has always taught me that all of these different guys that come from all these different areas across the country, how we can be bonded together and glued together for one common goal, and that's to win. And the same thing is when it comes to, like I said, in the corporate world or in the business world, being able to put your minds together with people with different ideas, respecting people's ideas and beliefs and differences on how they feel they can help you be better. So that's what, to me, what football and sports in general has always taught me, is just to be how it can bring people together. And I'm big on that, and I'm big on teaching that, because we all got different backgrounds. We all come from different places. But if we all put our minds together and reaching for one goal, you can have a really good success rate if you work together.
Oh, I love that. The president of the company that I currently work for loves to hire athletes or former athletes, for that matter, and that's kind of why he goes after. He goes, I love their mentality. I love the fact that they can do all those things that you just mentioned. So that just kind of stamped that with what you just said. I think that's so awesome. And you mentioned the entrepreneurial space. Like you're an entrepreneur yourself. You're a business owner. And, in my old job, I run my businesses on the side of my full-time job, and I understand it. My old job, we worked with entrepreneurs all day long, and it's interesting, all the things you see in business, typically you can see on whatever sports field or the sports arena in which you're competing in. So it does translate, whether people think so or not. No, it directly does translate. If you allow it to be a life lesson, you can literally implement it over there. So last question for you, Ortege. I want to see, so for your business, I know you're based out of Long Beach, like you said, but do you guys offer any sort of virtual options? Or if someone's trying to get a hold of you, I know you got on your Instagram, you've got the address for Long Beach. You said it earlier in the show as well. Is there any other ways that you guys offer trainings if they're out of the state? Like, what's the best way for people, like maybe they're listening to this outside of California, outside of Long Beach specifically, or outside of Arizona, and they want to still see if they can take advantage of your services? Is there anything that you guys offer for those types of people?
Yeah, they can reach me. They can DM me. You can either go through the foundation. That's OBYF23 is our foundation Instagram. My phone number's on there, and my email is directly on there on the Instagram page. The same thing with the One Body Sync is the number 1 BODY SNC is our Instagram there. They can DM me or contact my cell phone numbers on there. Get in contact with me, and if they want to go over, if they were looking at some virtual training type stuff, or if they wanted to be able to see kind of some of the things that we do from, if it's on the football side, the quarterback side, or if it's just strength and conditioning training, we're able to do virtual trainings and stuff like that if people are interested in doing that after getting an orientation to see if it's something that they want to do. So, yeah, I encourage people to follow us. Again, it's always, our foundation is always meant to help the kids. That's what we're there for. We're going to be looking at, fundraising next year, so that way we can continue to sponsor and take kids on these trips, because it's very important to get those guys in those unofficial visits and elite camps. It's just a big, big eye-opening experience for these kids to see the opportunities that are out there on the college campuses. It's a really, really fun thing, and it's exciting for us because we're able to open up some eyes, and it really realigns kids' focus when it's about trying to get them ready for their upcoming season, so on and so forth. So
I love that. I'm going to put the links here in the description for those who are listening. If you've already seen them, great. If not, open up that description of the podcast, whether you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Make sure to check out the links to his Instagram pages here below so you guys can contact him like you just said. And hopefully I'll be able to stay in contact with you, Ortege, as the season starts going. And keep an eye on some of your athletes and get to see what you're doing as you grow the business. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time and sharing some of the insight with the rest of us.
Man, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. Anytime you need me, man, let's lock in. You got my number. Let's do it.
Absolutely. For all those who are listening, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll be coming to you guys next week with another interview. Take care.
Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of my show. Now, if you could go and do me a favor, head over to iTunes, give me 5 stars, and leave me a review, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support.